Hey folks, and all be all here, and today we got a special video for you. I want to cover the topic of scouting your opponent, and I'm not going to talk about other methods of scouting like using Discord bots and swgh.gg. There's a specific tool that I've been using for the last 2-3 months, which is developed by Dr.Pivot. And he's helped me with a couple of other tools before as well. But this one is something which I found really useful for my personal use for GAC, and that's called the GAC history tool. And what this tool does is that it goes to, you have to enter your opponent's ally code, and it goes to swgh.gg, and it scrapes the data from there. It pulls the history for them for as many weeks as you'd like, and then it presents it in an Excel format so that you can go into your Excel sheet with the pull data and then look at trends in a single snapshot. So it's a way more user-friendly way to look at your opponent's history than going to a browser setting, swgh.gg. So I'll demonstrate exactly what I mean with this file, and it's been a time saver for me. Like before, it used to take me like an hour or hour and a half to comprehensively scout my opponent. With this tool, I can get it done in less than 10 minutes. It's extremely fast, and I get way better insights than I would have otherwise. So how I'm going to structure this video is I'm going to talk about the tool. I'm going to give a live demo of the tool in the first half of the video. And the second half of the video, I'll talk a little bit about where you can find this tool. And I'll give some tips on troubleshooting as well, because there are a few things that you have to do to set this tool up properly for first-time use. All right, so let's get started. So the very first thing you have to do is, this tool is in Excel. What you have to do is you have to go in over here, and there's a settings tab, the very first tab, and you have to enter your opponent's ally code over here. So you can see over here, I'm going to go ahead and enter my current opponent's ally code. And then the second thing that you have to enter over here is the GAC number. And there's a table over here that we've given over here for reference about which GAC number you want to pull the data for. Currently, we are in season 18. It's a 5v5 season. And the very first week, the number of the GAC is 59. So that's what I'm going to enter over here. So this is the number which is also there on swgh.gg when you reference a particular week. So once you do that, what you need to do is you need to go into the second tab, which is something called copy GAC. That's the name of the tab. And then if there's data already present over there, you can just go ahead and delete that. And then what you need to do is right click over here and then press the refresh button over here. And when you do that, then this tool is going to scrape swgh.gg and pull that week's information for that particular opponent. Now you can do this multiple times. Now you can see over here, I've pulled week number 59 for my current opponent. I can go back in over here and see, because that was the first week of 5v5 in this season, I can go back to the previous 5v5 season, and that's going to be weeks 51 to 54. And I can pull that data in over here as well. So let me do 54 first. And then I go back to the copy GAC tab, right click, press refresh, and it's going to pull week 54 data as well. And then I go back in over here and then type in 53, because that's the previous week, and press refresh. And there we go, week 53 is pulled in as well. So you can see how fast this tool is in pulling this data in. I'm just going to pull in the whole season, 52. Go here, press refresh. And finally, one last week, which is going to be 51, which is going to be the first week of the last season. So I'm just going to go in here, type in 51. And right click and refresh. So that's about it. So it takes just a couple of minutes to pull the history for like 5 weeks over here is what I'm showing you for your opponent, which is pretty quick. So once you've pulled the history, what you need to do is you need to go into the units tab, which is the next tab to the right of it. right click and refresh this because you need the pivots to be refreshed with the data that you just pulled in. Right click and refresh, and it's going to take a few seconds to get completely refreshed. So I'm just going to wait for that. And yep, it's just retrieving the data right now. And yep, there you go. So now the data has been refreshed for my current opponent. So the name of my opponent is Bone, and this is just a pivot. You really don't use it. All you need to do is just click refresh over here. Then you go into the next column, and this column is a sort of a summary kind of a thing. It gives you general stats, and you can find out a very high overview of how your opponent likes to play. So you can see over here your opponent's record. So in 12 matches, he's won 6 times and lost 6 times. You can see the times that he's won, what the score is, and what the opponent's score was, and similarly when the times that he's lost, what his average score was and what his opponent's score was. And you can see over here the time that my opponent likes to attack. 21. This time is in UTC. So 21 UTC is usually when the attack phase opens. So I can see over here that the bulk of the time my opponent likes to attack about 6 to 7 hours after the attack phase opens. So that's useful information because that can give me an idea about how exactly I need to when I need to plan for my attacks. A lot of times I'll see my opponents clustered at around the 19 or 20 UTC mark, which is just about an hour or two before the attack phase ends. Then I know that my opponent likes to wait till the last moment before going for the attack. So this is useful information. And then over here I can see just at an average level who my opponent has faced, what their score was, what their opponent's score was, and how many times they've won or lost. So all useful summary information. But the real good information is in the next tab, which is going to be your summary tab. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to refresh over here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in over here and select the GACs that I want to see. So you can go ahead and select over here the GAC weeks that you want to see. I've pulled 5 weeks of information. You can see over here 51, 52, 53, 54, and then 59, which is the first week of this season. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select 59, which is the latest week, and then 3 weeks of the prior season, and press OK. And you can see over here, this pulls my opponent's information from the last 4 weeks of Grand Arena. And you can see over here, my opponent really didn't participate in the 53rd week, probably didn't set defense, or maybe there was an issue in getting data from swgh.gg. So I'm going to exclude week 53 and just select week 51 so that I have 4 weeks of continuous data over here that I can see for my opponent. All right. So you can see over here, now I've pulled a ton of data over here, which is basically 4 weeks of data for my opponent, which tells me exactly what the status was, whether my opponent won or lost that particular match. The winning thing is in green, losing thing is in red. What the score was, who their opponent was, what their score was, and then what teams they like to set on defense. So what you see over here is basically what my opponents have been attacking, and this is what they faced on defense. So I can see over here, for example, just at a glance, that my opponent, let me actually increase the size of this a little bit. So I can see over here that my opponent loves to keep the negotiator on defense, always has kept the negotiator on defense. And he likes to keep an Empire fleet, Chimera, on defense. So that's great. I see over here that he almost never keeps his GLs on defense because GLs are highlighted in red. I don't see those over here at all. So that means my opponent always keeps his GLs on offense, which is really good information to have as well. Then I can see over here that my opponent likes to keep Brood Alpha right at the beginning. So what I can do over here is if I want to get additional insights, what I can do is I can go to this side over here and just select a leader. Like say if I select Geonosian Brood Alpha, I can see over here that my opponent has been keeping the Geos on defense almost every single round. So that's something that I know for sure that I can expect to see on defense. I can go to Darth Revan because I've seen him keep Darth Revan a few times, and I can see over here that my opponent likes to keep Darth Revan quite a lot. There's a few times that he's kept Savage Opress with Darth Revan, which is a little weird, but usually he keeps Sith Trooper uh, and Sith Marauder, as well as Basti Malak and Darth Revan. So that's good to know. So I may expect to see that somewhere at the back, because if you see over here, Darth Revan is not usually the first few teams which has been attacked. In this case, in this particular week, it was one of the first couple of teams attacked. So it could be that he kept it in the front over here in this week and kept it at the back in this particular week. So that's something to be aware of. Another thing that my opponent loves to keep is Shark T. So let me go ahead and filter on Shark T as the leader. So here I filtered for Shark T as the leader, and you can see over here he likes to keep Shark T with the clones quite a lot. So I can expect to see that on defense as well. Let's see what else is there. Padme Amidala. So let me filter for Padme, and I can see that Padme he likes to keep with R2D2 almost every single time. So I need to plan for that, either with my own Jedi Knight Revan or Malak Solo or whatever else I need to plan for a Padme to be there on defense. And you can see over here Padme has got a few holes at a few times. And typically Padme I think would be at the back because I see that Padme over here is the third or fourth character over here. And then yeah, you can basically select anything that you want over here. Like I selected Mon Mothma, and I see that the Mon Mothma comp that he usually likes to go with is Biggs, Cassian, Chirrut, Hot Rebel Scout K2SO, and Mon Mothma. So that's typically the squad that he has been keeping. He's kept Chirrut and Hot Rebel a little bit before, but yeah, I think that's a typical trend that I've seen over here. So interesting tab. This is where I really get the maximum insights on what to expect on defense. And then the next couple of tabs, there's one tab for defense performance where you can quickly at a glance see what my opponent has kept for defense and what their opponents took on attack against it. So for example, over here, my opponent has kept Shakti on defense, and their opponent took GL Ray to take that out for 61 banners. That's how you read this particular chart. Or you can see over here that my opponent has kept Negotiator, and their opponent took Malevolence against it for 62 banners. So that's also interesting information to have. So that's basically what defense performance means. Offense performance means what my opponent has used for their offense against. So that helps you give it helps to give you some good insight on what exactly your opponent likes to use on offense to take out tough teams. So here I can see my attacks by all. Yep. So I see over here that my whenever their opponent has kept Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, my current opponent has taken Jedi Knight Revan, probably with JKL, to take that out. So that's an interesting information to have. If they've kept GL Ray, he's used Vader to take that out. If he's kept Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, he's used Grandmaster Luke to take it out. So it's interesting information because I know exactly what kind of team my opponent have used to take out my opponent's defenses. So it's interesting information. But I think more the best tab is probably this last tab over here, which tells you about, let me expand this. It tells you about exactly what my opponent's patterns are. So what I do over here is this is details of all the teams that have been used by my opponent to take out specific squads. So let's give an example. So if I want to set my defense and I'm thinking about setting gas, I want to see what my opponent usually takes for gas. So I go over here, I use leader defense, I go to General Skywalker, and I see over here that my opponent usually takes Grandmaster Luke against General Skywalker. So he tends to take in a GL against that. Similarly, I can go in over here and say Darth Revan. And then I can see over here that my opponent loves to take Grandmaster Luke and IG-88 with Grievous, which is an interesting comp against Darth Revan, and he usually ends with 49 to 50 banners. So that's a good thing for me because that means that my opponent usually keeps Grievous on offense. So I can lure the Grievous out using Darth Revan, and then let me see what else he uses for Commander Luke Skywalker. So here I can see if I filter for Commander Luke Skywalker, and you can see over here my opponent uses Grievous uh, Ray, and then yeah, Grievous is basically what my opponent tends to use for Commander Luke Skywalker. He hasn't really been very successful with Grievous in the past, but what I can do is I can keep my Darth Revan squad in the front, get the Grievous out using IG-88, and then use and put Commander Luke Skywalker at the back and make my opponent struggle on that. Because you can see over here, there's been quite a few losses against Commander Luke Skywalker that my opponent has had. So I know that he has traditionally struggled against Commander Luke Skywalker. So that's a team definitely which should be at the back for me. Let's see what he uses against Padme. So if I filter for Padme, I can see over here that my opponent uses usually Darth Revan, Darth Traya for pretty high banners. So Padme is probably one team that I probably might not keep on offense, just for on defense, just for that reason. And then what else? If I want to see, for example, another way to look at this is if I filter for all over here on leader defense, and I take leader attack. So if I want to see what my opponent uses, it's his heavy hitting teams like GLs and if all other premium teams on offense. What does he use that against? Because that will give me an indication of what my opponent is really nervous in facing. So this is what I do. I filter over here for let's say Grandmaster Luke. I filter for GL Ray. I filter for Sith Palpatine. I filter for Supreme Leader Kylo. I filter for General Skywalker and Darth Revan. So these are all premium teams that you want to exhaust for your opponent, especially in the front zone. And if I see over here what kind of teams my opponent uses these premium teams on, it's against GLs like Sith Palpatine. That's fine. Against Grandmaster Luke, against Commander Luke Skywalker. So I know that he's definitely nervous against Commander Luke Skywalker. Darth Revan, which is expected. This was probably an overkill, Bosk. But then you see over here against Phasma, Newt, Gunray, yeah, all those are overkills. But yeah, so basically you can see that Commander Luke Skywalker is one team that he usually is quite nervous about, and Darth Revan as well. So that's one way in which I can get an indication of what teams my opponent usually struggles against. And what team I should keep to pull out some of these counters. Another thing that I can do over here is I can go and filter for all and click on battle result and then filter for loss, quit or timeout just to see what teams my opponent has typically lost on. And you can see over here he's lost against GLs, Sith Palpatine. He's lost against Commander Luke Skywalker. He lost against GBA, against Malevolence Fleet once, Bosk, Supreme Leader Kylo. He struggled quite a lot against Supreme Leader Kylo. He struggled against Rebel mirror matches as well in Home 1. Yep, another place where he's struggled with Rebels. He's struggled once with Negotiator mirror match as well. So it's interesting. So this is another way in which you can get a quick indication of where your opponent is currently struggling, and then tailor the defense according to that. So you can see over here within within 10 minutes you found out quite a lot of really interesting information about your opponent, and from scratch you're able to figure out exactly where their weak points are, where their comfort zone is, where they have their comfort zone and where they don't, and then you can tailor your defense accordingly and tailor your offensive strategy according to this as well. So that's a little bit about this tool. I've been using it for the last 3 months, and I've been helping Dr. Pivot modify some of these views and all that. So these are the views that we finally finalized upon, and these are the ones that we found pretty useful for analyzing your opponents. Now that we've talked about the tool, let me go ahead and give you an idea about where you can find this tool. So if you guys are not already a part of the Gambit Discord server, I highly recommend that you go ahead and join that. That's where I don't have a Discord server of my own, but I hang out quite a lot with the Gambit guys, Zareth and Solo Base. So in the Gambit server, there is a section for resources where they have their counter spreadsheet in a separate tab, and there's a tab called GAC comparison sheet. We already have another tool from Dr. Pivot over here, which is evaluating all of your weekly opponents, all the 7 opponents in your pod for the week. You can evaluate them and take a snapshot of the mods at the beginning of the week while it gets locked. So that's an interesting tool as well that you can check out from Dr. Pivot. And the other tool, the one that I just demonstrated, the history view, that is also uploaded out here. So you can go ahead and download it directly from here. Now, let me talk briefly about some troubleshooting things and some things to keep in mind as you're setting this tool up for the first time. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this tool works only with Excel. It's not going to work with Google Sheets just because it uses a lot of macros to pull the data. And it's preferable to have the latest version of Excel. I'm not sure how compatible this tool is with earlier versions of Excel, but the later the version, the better it is. So first thing that you need to do when you set up this tool is you need to go and adjust your privacy settings so that this tool works, because otherwise you'll start getting errors. So what you need to do is there are some instructions given over here to pull to adjust the privacy settings, and I'm going to show you exactly how you need to do that. So if you go into the Copy GAC tab, the one which has this green sheet, you'll see a tab. Let me show it to you over here. You will see a tab over here called Query. So you need to go into Query, and you need to go into Edit over here. Once you press Edit, it's going to open up a Power Query window, something that looks like this. It's a Power Query editor window. And what you need to do is you need to go into File, which is the first tab over here. And go to Options and Settings. And then go to Query Options. Once you click that, you will have you will get this this particular table which gets popped up. Go to Privacy tab over here, and then you have to click on Always Ignore Privacy Level Settings. This is what you need to do, and this is just a one-time thing, so you have to do it at the beginning once you're setting up the tool. Once you do that and press OK, then the privacy settings should be adjusted, and the tool should allow you to pull data directly from swgoh.gg. So that's and I've given snapshots over here of how exactly where exactly you need to go, what exactly you need to do. So all those details are over here as well. The other thing to remember is you can't pull too many weeks of data from here. Like I've found that maybe 5-6 weeks at a time you can pull. If you pull too many weeks, like 7 or 8 weeks at a time, then it gives you an error. The tool gives you an error because swgoh.gg blocks access, and you'll have to wait for a few minutes before you can pull more data. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You won't be able to pull in too many pieces of information at once, maybe 6 or 7 weeks at a time. After that, you'll probably have to wait for 10 minutes or so to pull in your next set of weeks. So that's basically how you need to a few things to keep in mind while you're using this tool. So that's about it. I think I've shown you where you can go ahead and download this tool. Feel free to download it, take a snapshot, go ahead and play around with it, figure out what works for you, what doesn't. Play around with the pivots and all of that. I've personally found this tool really useful. So kudos to Dr. Pivot for making this available to the community as well. If you found this useful, share this tool with your friends as well. Hopefully, this is something which will enable you to get quick insights really fast, and allow you to do better in GAC. So hope you found this video useful. I will catch you guys later. Take care, and all the best.